All right. Pretty sure there was a zillion other things I had to do to get ready before this live stream, but you know, I'm just pressing play. As my mentor says, just press play. But I just press live actually. So this identity shift, I want to dive into this. There's a zillion other things that I could talk about as well, but I'm going to do a few live streams coming up because I do have a lot to say, and I'm like, I think I just need to do a lot of live streams because I could like put it all in one subject, but we've got Transcendence starting very shortly. I need to jump off and do a live stream in Transcendence for our first welcome live stream. Transcendence is starting today. We travel this journey for 6 weeks. This is a huge recalibration, identity shift, hence what we're talking about here today, and deeply diving into things that are holding you back, unplugging from things like AI and the dark mother grid and the satanic grid lines across the earth that enables us to be able to play outside these realms. Yeah. So Transcendence, we're starting like very shortly. So you've still got today to get in there. The link is in the top of this live stream. What's it called? The live stream title. And I'll pop it in the link in the comments as well. And I'm just gonna share this live stream as always. And then we're gonna dive into this identity shift. I'm curious who has also been feeling this, because whilst Transcendence is like running live right now, we're about to start soon, the identity shift has been really, really apparent with a lot of my clients, with myself, of course, and it's got a lot to do with throat chakra consciousness as well, which we're doing in Transcendence Reality Society. So if you want into everything, you want to be in Transcendence Reality Society. That's the inner circle for reality, where you get access to everything I release, get access to all the courses, meditations, like everything that comes out, you just get automatic access, let alone the amazing stuff that's in there by itself. It's pretty good to be in the inner circle. So, yeah, hang on, let me concentrate on this. So yeah, so Transcendence, so the identity shift and throat chakra consciousness, that's right, that's what I was saying. I'll just share this so then I can like dive into the message because it's already coming out and I'm like trying to concentrate and share this, so bear with me, as always. It's about to rain, I think, so we might get some like some sprinkle dust. Sprinkle dust. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, let me pop this down and then bring this up here so I can see your comments coming through. And as always, I'll trust you'll let me know if it's going to get too windy. The dog, Jasmine, Jasmino, come. Up. Come up here. Up. Jump up. Oh yeah, big girl. Here she is. Good girl, you're a good girl. You're a good girl. Oh, I don't want your hair in my coffee bar. Wow, why does that always happen? See the cat or German Shepherd hair. German Shepherd hair goes everywhere. There's Jasmine. She made her, what is it, debut appearance? That's hilarious. All right, I'm just bringing up these comments and then I'll be present with you. I'm coming. The birds, yeah, I hear a lot of birds here. There's always a lot of birds here. And even though I don't hear much traffic, I do still hear traffic on, you know, like when it's quiet, when there's no wind, I should say. Definitely hear traffic. All right, I just popped the link in for Transcendence. Pin that to the top. Good morning, Beck. Would love to, as I'm not working, money is, yes. So we get to create money right? Let's have a conversation about money, because this very much comes into the identity shift, right? We get to create money, but not from a single source. We get to create money from all different sources. A lot of people rely on one job, one income, and then when that goes to shit, well, what are they going to do, right? Which is where a lot of people end up, and why we get trapped in slavery, etc. And the way that we start increasing our income, even if we don't have a job, right, is our mindset, because it's always created here first. It's always an inside job. And this is the identity shift. If you're not willing to do the inner work, the external will never change, right? And we can always find money for anything we want. Because you might be like, oh, I'm not working, don't have money. And it's like, well, actually you do. And you don't want to create more money problems by saying that you don't, or saying that you can't afford it, because actually you do. Anybody does and anybody can. It just depends on where they're placing their money, because I'm sure you pay money to live somewhere. I'm sure you buy food. So technically you do have money. All right, I'm just going to pop this in because it is getting windy. Trusting you guys can hear me as that flicks over. You know, technically you do have money. Technically everybody has money, right? Everybody does. It just depends where it is getting, like where you're spending it, right? I'm pretty sure this is before jumped off a live stream, but it should be there. We should be coming back on. All right, Chelsea. Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's very peaceful, sometimes a bit too isolated. Go a little bit crazy. Okay, so it's a really big thing, right? And this is where the mindset is. Yeah, this is where the mindset and the identity shift, this is where you come in. And do you know what it is? It's a choice. It's literally a choice. And this is like stemming in from my blog that I wrote yesterday. Like, people want change, but they're not willing to do the work to make it happen. They might for a little bit, they're like, yeah. And then all this stuff comes up and they're like, whoop, that means I have to change too much. I'm not going to. Right? And it's very subconscious. And there's so many things. And I was just talking to someone this morning who private messaged me yesterday, and they're like, let's do a talk show together. And I'm like, a talk show? What do you mean? And he's like, you know, I knew exactly what he meant, by the way. You know how I always prod these questions. Yeah, I knew exactly what he meant. And I was prodding questions, and I was like, so what's stopping you from doing it on your own, right? Because I'm not feeling called to do a talk show, you know, like with you or anybody. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my purpose. I do what I do. Like, I'm always talking on live stream, blogging, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, he was very grateful for my honesty, because I said, you know, I would look at, you know, maybe you are being called to do a talk show with somebody else for your purpose. But at the same time, what it is like checking in on that, because are you just scared of doing it yourself? And it turned out that he was, right? And he admitted that in a way. It was like, yeah, actually, I'm scared of public speaking, blah, blah, blah. So it comes into a point of being able to step into that identity of yourself. Now, what I recommended to him, and I'm giving you guys this advice too, because it applies to everyone. This is like one of the first things I work with a lot of clients when we're stepping into this new identity, stepping into our purpose and being able to do what we do best, what's calling in our heart, but here is getting blocked, right? It wants to come up and out and speak, but it's getting blocked here. Yeah, and this is throat chakra consciousness. We're doing it in TRS at the moment. Transcendence Reality Society, the inner circle. I call it TRS for short because, you know, it's a mouthful. So we're doing that in TRS. And the biggest thing to work on is past lives, also known as healing from the witch hunt specifically, because in a past life, and the reason that most people struggle to step out, like they'll get to a certain point and they're like, yeah, and then they're like, oh, okay, but so 2 really awesome tips here, okay? Make sure you write them down. Number 1, you want to do past life healing on throat chakra, right? Whether that's like being betrayed, like slit on the throat, hung, or burnt at the stake. So there's a lot of people that step into this sort of work and then they get to a certain point, or they cap at a level, or they plateau, right? And one thing is a lot of people don't work on is that, right? Because in a past life, you've been, you know, you would have been doing your purpose and stepping up and doing all those things. However, you've been killed at a certain point. Usually at the point where you're stuck at now is where you've been killed in the past, right? And And your body, soul, muscle memory is like, I'm not moving forward. I'm not moving forward because I got killed last time at that point. So we're not going to do that this time. Right. So it's really important to look at that piece, definitely. Right. And work on, healing that trauma that's blocking your throat, that's blocking any words coming out. We get to a point where you're okay, like private messaging, talking to everyone in private message, but you're not willing to just come out and be the true version of you, the next level, that past life that you died, you've come back to, like, get past that point. Like, that's the point, right? Isn't that the point of, like, getting past that point in this lifetime? You don't want to just stay stuck, paralyzed there, right? Okay, just gonna bring this up here as well, because I missed these comments because I made it all freeze and stuff. So let me bring this up. Okay. So Scott says, I've been really struggling with my identity for quite a while. It's driving me absolutely crazy on a daily basis. Yeah. And Beck says, I find this is the really hard part. And so this is the point where it's like coming into that next level version of you, like having the confidence to step into that. Now that requires everything to disintegrate that is not you, right? When you really look at creating your dream life, or the life that you're, like, visioning or working on even, right? When you really consider what you would be doing on a daily, like day-to-day basis of that, is probably not what you're doing now, or what you're doing yesterday, or what you were doing 5 years ago, right? And if you're still doing that, you're going to be stuck in that loop. Yeah. And so it's like, yep. So Lee says, I've been stuck in the void for the last 2 years. Yeah. And so when you, like, really drop into, okay, you can do this through meditating, visualizing, journaling, whatever it is that works for you, or all three or more. It's like, if I was waking up already in my dream life, would I be doing this same thing that I'm doing now? So when I wake up and I feel like shit, or I'm excited, or I do the same things, like in 5 years' time, if I'm already in my dream life, or even sooner, 2 years or now, would I be waking up and still thinking like that, speaking like that, dressing like that, acting like that, feeling like that, doing the same things, being in the same place, like speaking to the same people, doing this amount of work, or whatever it is? Would you be doing that? Like, if you think about what you've been doing today, yesterday, the day before, this whole last week, the whole last month, and if you're still not there into that version of yourself, what is it that needs to change? Like, if you were to fast forward into your dream life, how is that different to now? Now, the biggest thing that people also get tripped up on, like I said, really work on that throat chakra stuff I just spoke about, is energetically that's holding you back, but physically is a lot of people are not creating the steps or making the changes physically that enable that to actually manifest, right? Manifestation is not just a visualizing and landing it in your lap, right? You actually need to what's the word, like, create the action steps daily towards that. Yeah. So Scott, when you say, like, I've been struggling with my identity, it's driving me absolutely crazy on a daily basis, I'm like, so are you doing the same things on a daily basis? We know that saying. It's like, what is it? Doing the same things and expecting a different result. It's like the definition of insanity or something. That's the saying, right? So Rich says, I think you're awesome. I'd be interested in speaking, doing more work. Yeah. And so you just got to step up and do it ultimately at the end of the day, right? I was going to say something else there. What was it? So looking at past life stuff, looking at throat stuff, looking at what you're doing on a daily basis and starting to create changes from that. And then it's also like, do you even have that vision? Do you even have that plan? Not just even the plan, like, do you even know what you're working for? The other part about plateauing is we reach that point of, like, okay, and it is a transition, and it is an in-between point, and it is a recalibrating into the identity of who you now are. For example, with myself, like I posted yesterday, like, the last would have been nearly 18 months ago, I woke up in a space and I was like, I'm sick of talking about the domestic violence and the abuse and the trauma and the pain. And whilst like that's a huge part of the work that I do with my clients in removing trauma and in trust intuition so that you're able to have clear intuition and trust yourself and let your life purpose be revealed to you in that space. That's like the biggest thing that I do, and all the intricacies. I'm also tired of speaking about it all the damn time. And this is part of my identity shift of coming into like, yeah, okay, well, who am I without my trauma? Who am I without my family patterns? Who am I without, this speaking about it all the time? Like, if I'm not speaking about that, what am I speaking about? And who am I serving? Yeah. And it's really coming into that space around, well, yeah, I am like a multi-six-figure, almost seven-figure entrepreneur, and I've worked my ass off to get here, and now I've created this stable foundation. And a lot of people are like, it's not working yet, and it's not happening. And I'm like, well, how long have you been doing it for? Right? It really comes into like the identity shift, like, in like this has been the past 18 months I've been working on this in myself. It's kind of like, it's like, I know turtles don't really survive without a shell, but it's like if we were to take our skin off, we would be really tender and vulnerable with everything exposed. And when you release an identity, that's what it feels like. That is what it feels like. And trust intuition, in the third eye chakra consciousness, actually, I have a specific meditation that literally like helps to shift this portal. And step into that identity. In the throat chakra consciousness, it's all about the identity shift. Well, because we're not hiding in the shadows anymore. Throat chakra consciousness is shadow work, but it's deeper than that because it's living your truth, right? And it's the big identity shift that comes with that. If you want these first trainings as they're dropping, you'll want to be in the inner circle, in TRS. That's where they're happening, Transcendence Reality Society. So Vanessa says small steps on a daily basis and having faith. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because we expect for some reason that we're just going to land in our dream life. And the reality is the identity shifts and the healing from crisis takes good like 18 month chunks. Like it does. I don't care what anyone talks about, like shifting overnight. Yeah, probably because they've been doing 10 years worth of freaking work, right? It's not easy. But when we hold that vision, when we know where we're heading, that's when we arrive at the destination. If we don't even know where we're heading, that's when we can be in that limbo for quite some time. And even when we do know where we're going and we find ourselves in that limbo, the recalibration process of the identity and the skin shed, let's call it, right? That and growing a new skin into this identity is like going into the wardrobe, getting changed and coming back out. There's a change happening. Like, do you know what I mean? And that takes time through consciousness, through psyche, through your physical environment, through who you're hanging around, through the boundaries and the standards that you hold and all of those pieces, right? And speaking of that, I've released Goddess Codes. You probably saw it just recently. So there's an investment increase that's happening next week with that. Goddess Codes is at the moment the best value you've got to work with me one-on-one. It's 8,888 for 4 months, where we go deep into this, in my energy vortex, in this shifting, in this recalibrating for 4 months, plus psychic readings, of course. We do that in there. Distance healing, which I haven't been offering individually at the moment. So you get distance healings in there. And there's phone calls as well, right? And these we go super deep on. The investment is increasing next Friday night to nearly 16K. So send me a message if you know you need to work with me. Goddess Codes is a very different frequency of container that I'm working with clients. And this is part of that identity shift. If you're ready to calibrate upwards, if you're ready to step out of that spiral down, if you're ready to actually like shift and shift and shift very rapidly, this is the one you want to be in on. Because with what I've made big moves in the last week, probably saw it on my story. I still can't talk to you about that yet. But I'm just like, wow, there it is. And here's the spiral up and things are moving very, very fast. And I'm like, wow, after this identity recalibration that I've been through in the past 18 months, now I'm like, wow, here's like the version of myself who I used to be. in a completely like recalibrated space, and the frequency and the shifts that are happening. Okay, send me a message if you want more details about goddess codes, because the investment increases next Friday and transcendence starts today, right? Today. So Lee says, I slip all the time with what I really want and allowing myself to even go there. This is the big thing. This is the spiraling up, right? And that limbo and that, okay, let me be clear on this bit, okay? You know, I just said like the limbo, the recalibration point, the stuck point, like they're all the same feeling, okay? Like, you know, we can put whatever label on it, but let's just call it stuck point, stagnant point. It's the place where our skin has come off and we're sort of bleeding out and all our muscles are showing, right? Like you can imagine what that feels like. It's just like, oh my God, like you'd just be like this, right? And that's what it feels like in a recalibration point, yeah? So when you say, Lee, I slip all the time with what I really want and allowing myself to even go there. Do you know the fastest way to shift in your skin? Like it's like it magically like comes back on and you've got this like new goddess skin, right? And you feel, you're just like, well, there it is. Do you know the fastest way to reclaim your skin is to actually let yourself have what you really want? When you actually claim that, own that, decide and choose, this is such an important point, when you decide and choose that that is the only option available for you now, I guarantee you doors will open up. The universe will show you ways and you'll be like, why the fuck was I even thinking about any other option but this? And you will come alive and you will spiral upwards and the recalibration will be fast and things will move very fast, right? April is a very fast month on its own, energetically and like collectively and astrologically. But to align, like for you to decide and choose that that's the only option, then that everything will shift. Your skin will magically, you'll just be like, you'll be alive again. You won't be tired and feeling shame and be left bare with your bleeding out everywhere. Like it's a thing, right? And the biggest thing about you claiming, owning, and choosing and deciding that that's the only thing available for you, the thing that you really want, not settling for anything else. Like when you actually step into that, that's the identity shift. And do you know what? It's so scary before you get there, but when you get there, you're like, why the fuck was I scared about this? I feel more me than I've ever felt before. Why have I ever like chosen anything other than this? Like no wonder I've been lost and depressed and tired and shameful and like in my addictions. I don't even feel like that addiction now. And the instant shift has been because you chose what you really want and nothing less. Yeah. So yeah, Rich, send me a message if you want to work one-on-one. I just shared a little bit about how we can. Michaela says, I have told a few people that I'd always believed that I would die just before I turned 40. It's so funny because I had a client several years ago who had the same fear. Yeah, I'll talk about that. I was not supposed to reach that birthday. Leading up to that, I completely shut down. This would be a past life causing this. Yeah, I'm curious how old you are now, Michaela, if you're still here. Lee says, yep, that's what it totally feels like. Scott says, yes, stuck in a loop going nowhere. It seems to be I'm too scared or too indecisive to make the choices, actions necessarily. Just not sure about my direction. It keeps changing. Yeah, and the thing is that the evolution of yourself will always keep changing, right? So the evolution of yourself will always keep changing. Why? Because it's not still, it's not stagnant, it's not a straight line, right? And when you learn to trust, okay, the only reason that you're too indecisive and too scared and you won't go there in your new identity, right, is because you simply don't trust yourself. You simply don't trust your soul. You simply don't trust this goddess flow. By the way, goddess codes is also for the gods. I work with men and women on my 4-month program, and like I said, it's increasing from 8,000 or just over 8,000, it's nearly 9,000, to 16K next Friday. So you've got a week to get in at 8,000. It's nearly 9,000. It's 8,888. Let's be clear, okay? Next week it's increasing to 15,997. Yeah. So when you trust yourself, right? When you trust yourself, everything becomes clear And you won't be scared about all the changes, because the other thing about it, right? The other thing that's going on is that your life purpose is like this. It's a flow. It doesn't work on friggin' 3D, like masculine, patriarchal, straight line bullshit, right? It's this. But we learn to harness the masculine to be able to channel, right? To channel it into reality, because we need that penetration to bring it down to earth, right? Masculine and feminine balance. I've got something being released, a 3-week deep dive releasing in a couple of weeks. I'm going to talk about that more. It's going to drop soon, right? That's deeply going to go into this masculine and feminine balance and how we bring things down to earth. So just not sure about my direction. It keeps changing. And this is the piece where with your life purpose, your evolution of your soul, it will always change. And how we catch that is by trusting yourself to be the leader, to be that identity that you know yourself to be, because you already know that you're that person, but you just haven't stepped into that yet. You haven't actually arrived at that destination yet, right? But you know that's who you are. And you know that in that point, you're going to be able to catch all those different directions, and you're going to be able to channel them into your purpose. And you're going to have many hands and many pies, because you're a highly intuitive, spiritual goddess and god entrepreneur that gets a zillion ideas from spirit, because they're all relevant to you and your life purpose. And the ones who are successful, and the ones that succeed, and the ones that move forward fast, rapidly, and sure, you don't have to do it fast, right? But we can just sit there in the shame and like our skin bare and bleeding the fuck out everywhere, or we can grab our skin by the reins and be that leader and step into that person that you are, right? And learn to channel all of those pieces down, and you catch every single one, because every idea is important. But it's allowing yourself as an entrepreneur to know how to be that leader and to step into that space and be able to channel that, not all by yourself, right? And this is what I help people with, to be able to shift to the next level in their business, to be able to start their business, to be able to even understand what their purpose is and what that looks like in the 3D, like, reality world. It's like I'm this highly spiritual person who can't finish anything, right? And I get all these ideas and they always leave me because I'm too scared over here bleeding out without my skin. This is what I help people with. Step into this powerful goddess, god, leader, entrepreneur that you are, because you are. You're not ADD. You've actually got a zillion ideas that need to be grounded into earth. That's what's really going on here. Yeah? You're highly creative. And that highly creative energy is what the earth needs right now. Yes, I have injured my pinky, and you've injured yours too. Interesting. So Andrew says, one of my friends rang with an offer that sounded too good to be true. As I closed my eyes for a moment, I think a vision of 2 skin grays was in my mind's vision, looking at me, but both telepathically saying no. It was like a warning. So my answer was no to my friend. But why 2 grays is why beyond comprehension, why they would even pop up, a gut feeling. So yeah, and I was speaking about this. Where was I speaking about this? Oh, in our Trust Intuition training, actually, on Wednesday night. Fuck, it was insane, next level. Oh my God. It was next level, our Trust Intuition training. Speaking about this deeply. When it comes to making decisions in your life, trusting your intuition and our spiritual awakening is like, yeah, learning to trust our angels and the feathers and the coins and the spirit guides and the messages from the birds and the trees and the breeze and all the signs, reading cards, seeing mediums, psychics, all the things, right? We learn all that. But then we step into mastery of our intuition, and we don't even, it's not that we don't trust, it's that we are tuning in to all the signs. And even if all the signs are telling us not to do something or to do something, we also don't have to listen to them. True mastery in your intuition, true mastering in being that next level identity and version of yourself comes into trusting yourself, your whole self, and nothing but yourself. Plain and simple. I'm not saying don't listen to the outside beings or signs or messages, but I'm saying double check them, because the mastery of your intuition comes into really dropping into the core of who you are, your soul, and your direct connection to God and what's right for you, no matter what anyone says, even that medium, psychic, that book, that teacher, that mentor, that school, bloody whatever, like that angel that appeared to you in your dreams, like all of that. Yeah. So you just got to trust that. And we say no for a reason, and you just need to trust that as well. Lee says, that's why I'm selling everything I own and leaving Melbourne. Trusting your intuition and on the fly. Michaela is 44 tomorrow. Okay, awesome. So it's really interesting you brought that up, right? You know, you always thought that you wouldn't be here for your 40th birthday, that you just weren't supposed to, and that, you know, you're asking me if it's from past life. Like, it definitely can be past life stuff. Definitely, right? And, you know, if you're my client, we're definitely explore and clear that thread. Obviously, you're 44 now, so you figure that one out yourself. But what I find as well, and again, we talked about this just in the Trust Intuition training this week in module 4. So without going into too much detail about it, there's a chart that we refer to become, not to become, but it's a part of our toolkit as a really powerful intuitive healer that pinpoints things. I just love this shit. So at 42 is actually a rebirth point, right? And you know, a lot of people, you know, that's kind of like the mainstream thing, like, oh, like at 40 they have a midlife crisis and they sell everything and they go and buy a Lamborghini, or they leave their family and go to an ashram or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's around that 40, you know, midlife crisis thing. And the real reason behind that is because at 42 is actually a rebirth point. It's a make or break. It's a spiritual awakening point. It's literally a rebirth point. There's lots along your timeline of your life, and we teach deeply about that in Trust Intuition. But at 42, there's a specific rebirth point. Now, you know, there's lots of points along the timeline, but at 42 it relates to when you're 0. It relates to when you're born. So it's like one of the biggest rebirth points, right up until you're 42. Yeah. And so a lot of people feel like they're going to die, or they, you know, have a mental breakdown, or they, you know, have midlife crisis, as they call it. You know what I mean? And it's literally a rebirth point. Now, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. Like, when you know this stuff, you can really work with these cycles, and hence why I teach it in Trust Intuition, and be able to really jump through, like, and use the rebirth. It's a clean slate. It's a way to rebirth and like create a new and start a new. It's a new cycle, right? You're being reborn, if you may, right? And so when you can use that, you know what's going on. It's not as tumultuous. It's not like, oh my God, what's happening with my life? Or, you know, like, it might still feel like that, but you know that you're being reborn, so to speak. Like, you literally are. You get a clean slate at 42. So even though it's not like 42 exactly what you're talking about, Michaela, you're talking about at 40. It's definitely the years sort of either side leading up to it. But I think, you know, if it was so strong for you like that, it'd be definitely, you know, it can be a past life thing that was really significant around that birthday, like, for sure, right? So yeah, knowing this stuff can help shift everything, right? So yeah. Oh, you're 44 tomorrow, so happy birthday for tomorrow. So things are changing for me. The hard things is moving, new beginning, rental is hard to find. Yeah, so they'll be hard to find if you believe that. If you start affirming, using, and you know, mindset and visualizing and doing all the things and holding the faith, you will find the house. On a physical note, on a physical 3D reality note, offering to pay slightly more rent per week will always put you above the rest as well. I know it might not seem like you can afford it, but let's be real, people can. It's a choice. And it's a choice to create it. Goddess flow, yes, trust is huge. Yeah, it's the biggest thing. Yeah, it is a beautiful day. It's actually pretty cloudy. It's supposed to rain. Hi, everybody. Scott says, that is so worthy and amazing feedback. Appreciate your consideration. You're so very welcome. It is messy. Goddess flow is always messy. I know, I saw the 42 people watching as I said that, right? And the 40. It's so interesting we're talking about that. I'm a couple of years away from that. It's getting up there. I'm like, oh, fuck, am I really 40? No, I'm 37. Leah had a daughter at 42. Amazing. Amazing. You did message me. Okay. 43. So what you're saying is absolutely true about 42 rebirth. Yeah, 100%. It's a big, big thing. Had beautiful skin. I was noticing it glowing in the sun there. That's the goddess glow. When you step into true alignment, true beauty shines through. Why? Because your soul is at the forefront, beaming all that light through. It's a thing. You see the people who glow, it's because they're fully in alignment and their soul is at the forefront of everything, yeah? You want beautiful skin? Get into fucking alignment of your life. That's all you need to do. No amount of creams will make that glow come out, unlike your soul, baby. It won't be just your face, it'll be your whole body. All right, I've got to jump off in a minute. Transcendence is starting. I've got to jump on for the first live stream for our first 6-week journey. Transcendence, right, is our 6 weeks journey to embodying your glow, literally, because we come into full alignment. This is, and I saw so many of the amazing missions being posted in the group. So we've got like missions / goals / things that we're working on and through. And I go in there and give you like direct guidance about, slight wording changes that open the portals or shut them, because our words are so important in when we're manifesting and creating our life. Words are everything. Mindset is everything. So I go in there and almost like fine tune what you've written. And then we're working on that with like deep activations, beautiful space that I hold and work on your specific manifestations in the field, in the quantum, in the transcendence journey over these next 6 weeks. You get a lifetime access, and I run transcendence every 9 months. It's run every 9 months for a very specific reason, because there's an 18-month birthing cycle, and every 9 months, just like when a mother gives birth, it's 9 to 10 month cycle, right? And so when we're working on these manifestations, they build each time, and there's people in there that have been in there right from the start in 2020, and they're sharing like their wins and the goals that they've achieved through like every round of transcendence. It's like dropping in, and it gets stronger in the layers, and your confidence and your trust, and you're dropping into that identity more and more and more, and becoming that, because we're also unplugging from the darkness. We're unplugging from that dark Satan greed. We're unplugging from the slavery. It is so freeing. The link is pinned to the title. You can also find it on my page. Send me a message. It's not too late to get in there. I will still go through your missions when you post them in there. You can watch the replay, but I am going to jump on there in a minute. So yes, let me go through this last bit of comments, and then I'm going to jump off because I'm going into transcendence, and you'll want to be there, because these activating live streams, I just channel them as I do. Next level, baby. So transcendence is there. You can jump in, or if you want to jump in the inner circle, you get access to transcendence. You get access to all the things that are coming up very soon, because there's lots of things coming up very soon. So Lee says, that makes so much sense. I turned 40 last year, and the healing has amped up 1 times 1,000%. Yes. All the past shit and identities to be let go of. 42 next year. Yeah. It's huge. Clear the slate. Recalibration. Love it. Love it. Love it. Yes. Grape juice? No, it's not grape juice. It's black coffee. Not grape juice. I'm always messy. A bit late 56. 62, still messy, especially in this world. Yes, messy can be translated as creating and creative. When I'm in a creative flow, so messy. Apparently I'm still glowing. I love it. I love it. Tracy says I'm 57, I think, and I'm finding my way, being with my man since I was 16. Yeah, so 63 is the next point coming up for you, Tracy. So a few more years, but 63 is one of the next birthing points, yeah? From 57, we're talking there. We are glowing. Yes, we are. You're so welcome, Michaela. I know Destiny. Destiny's in there. She's in the inner circle. So excited. I saw your missions as well. So awesome. It says, oh, when is the TRS throat chakra at 1 start? It's coming. It's coming. It's a divine timing, but there's a lot of content I've been downloading for it. I've just got to film it. Definitely been downloading so much about it. Next time round, still in limbo on too many levels, and sometimes making those big next level choices takes you out of the limbo, because sometimes the limbo is like the what is it, the compass point just spinning, if you may. And there's all these choices. So just like I think it was, oh, what's his name? Had said on here, I'm just looking for his name. Scott, I thought it was Scott. I just wanted to double check. Just like Scott said, there's so many choices. Like, I don't know which direction to take. It's because, yeah, the compass is spinning like this, and it'll spin until you make a choice to start going that way. And when you make a choice to start going that way, then everything, like, it's almost like the whole compass sides just go whoop, and it all goes and it all lines up. But you'll keep spinning until you make that first choice, and then everything will just follow you. Does that make sense? Or like it'll come in front of you, the next steps and the next steps, but you'll keep spinning until you make a decision. You'll keep spinning until you don't make a choice. You'll keep spinning until you actually go for what you really want and not settle for anything else, right? And then everything just goes. But until you go first, you'll keep staying in limbo. Yeah. You want, you can't have. What if you're 47? So 42, I can't think off the top of my head. I know there's 63. Actually, I think there is another one. Let me have a look. I think I've got it on this computer. No, maybe I don't actually. You're going to have to jump into Trust Intuition to find out and join us, actually. It's in Module 4. And it's in Module 4 for a reason. Yes, love it. Love it. Of course. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off because Transcendence is calling.